The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. What does Oprah Winfrey's relative silence tell us about Harry and Meghan's status in Hollywood? Chief Royal Correspondent Jack Royston said on the latest episode of The Royal Report, Oprah must get asked about Harry and Meghan all the time since the interview in 2021, and you could forgive her for getting a bit fed up of it. In a recent interview with Gayle King, Oprah said, I think they should do what they feel is best for them and their family. That's what I think. That's what the bottom line comes down to. What do you feel like is the right thing for you? They haven't asked me my opinion. Royston said, this is obviously a slightly cagey response. I don't know whether Oprah didn't want to be asked or whether she just feels she's not in a position to say. It certainly doesn't sound like she's got Harry and Meghan on speed dial right now. Certainly not anymore, anyway. Another possibility, though, I feel like maybe Oprah must know there's a risk of her being viewed as a kind of unofficial spokesperson for Harry and Meghan if she gives her opinion too readily and if she's always popping up, articulating what they might think and feel without them having to speak for themselves. Oprah is perhaps as close as America gets to royalty, and that reputation long precedes the interview of Harry and Meghan. So maybe the sparse, pared-down response she gave is also just about preserving her own status as a star in her own right, rather than somebody who's in orbit of Harry and Meghan. In fairness, who can blame her? From the point of view of American society, she's the royal in the room. It's a day that ends in Y, so let's see what Harry and Meghan are demanding for the coronation. Royal expert Angela Mollard tells OK Magazine. The latest thing they've said is they want to be on the balcony for the coronation, while not giving a confirmation themselves that they're going to be there. This is 5 weeks out. They need some planning around this. They need to know whether to set aside the chairs. There is no chance they're going to be on the balcony. The Queen wanted a slimmed-down monarchy. Charles is further enforcing that. He has dealt beautifully with Andrew, and they need to turn around and say there's no chance they'll get a place on that balcony. An insider said, once the king has been crowned, there will be a coronation procession that will start at Westminster Abbey and end at Buckingham Palace. Once the procession reaches the palace, the king will take to the balcony and wave at the crowds with the rest of the royal family members and their children. This is where Harry and Meghan have requested inclusion. The palace are trying to wrap up negotiations as quickly as possible, but they can't go right up to the wire. It could lead to chaos. It could very well be that it ends in stalemate and they won't attend. But the palace is doing everything in its power to not let that happen. Charles plans to go to bed at 6 p.m. before his coronation. A source told the Daily Telegraph there have been some logistical challenges caused by the king. He doesn't want to do anything in the evening in case it tires him out. There will be no partying. Prior to the most recent coronation in 1953, Queen Elizabeth attended a banquet the night before. Palace Intrigue will be right back.
Hey, it's Jordan Ross Myers, the man behind Twitter's notorious Lee Radswell and Don Gunvalson. I'm inviting you to join me every week for the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Along with my co-host, reality casting director Stacey Noel Connor, and disgraced entertainment TV producer Nate Safer, we deconstruct pop culture's past, present, and future and probe the dark crevices of Hollywood, taking you inside the scandals, feuds, rises, and falls of society's rich and infamous. Alongside interviews with our celebrity friends and special guest hosts, everything is fair game on the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Every Tuesday on all streaming platforms and at storicmedia.com.
Royal commentator Robert Jobson is in hot water after a Michael Jackson-themed joke about Harry and Meghan. The Mirror reports Jobson joked that Charles would blow out Archie's birthday candles and then held his hands out in an imitation and referred to that Michael Jackson thing where they hold him over. Author Tom Quinn said there were quite a few rules that Kate and William had to follow before their big royal wedding, due to the fact that Kate was going to be a bride from outside of royalty or aristocracy and essentially regarded as a commoner. The big headline from Yahoo is that she had to take fertility tests. Quinn writes, "These are always carried out to ensure a future queen is able to have children. If Kate had not been fertile, there is little doubt the marriage would have been off. Diana went through the same thing," Quinn writes. Diana complained in a brief encounter with the present author that she had in all innocence thought her premarital checkups had to do with general health, only realizing later that she had actually been tested for fertility. "I was so innocent, I just went along with everything at that stage," she said. GB News suggests that Harry and Meghan may have led to Prince Edward being named Duke of Edinburgh. While Edward had been promised the title by Queen Elizabeth back in 1999, royal expert Richard Eden believes King Charles didn't intend to give his brother the title as part of his plans to slim down the royals. Eden told the Palace Confidential talk show, "But then when Harry and Meghan started using the Prince and Princess titles for their children, it became clear this wasn't going to happen, and then King Charles could hardly justify not giving Prince Edward the title he'd been promised by their parents. It was a big deal, and I really think that was behind it." NewIdea.com writes that while Edward's son James, 15, now takes on the Earl of Wessex title, his 19-year-old daughter, Lady Louisa's status remains unchanged, a situation seen by many as unjust and archaic. Royal expert Phil Dampier tells New Idea, "Louise seems to be a very bright young lady with the potential to be a royal star, so I think she would be a great asset. It is unfair, of course, that she is older than her brother, but beneath him in the line of succession. While James is now the Earl of Wessex, her status remains the same. The ancient primogeniture laws need to be changed to reflect that." Looking far ahead, the Duke of Edinburgh title will likely become a point of controversy in the future. It was decided the Duke of Edinburgh title will not be passed down to Prince Edward's son when he dies, which could really be about preventing Archie from inheriting the Duke of Sussex title from Harry. Eden said, "I have heard it is said that part of the reason is that King wants to stop Archie from inheriting that title of the Duke of Sussex. So this might be the part of that, so he now has to set that precedent. The problem is that he'd have to do it with all the royal dukes, so he really wouldn't want to do that with the very well-respected Dukes of Gloucester and Kent. And given the relative ages of everyone, it's likely that these future titles will be assigned by King William." Dampier says he might well want Charlotte to have the title, especially as she is next in line to the throne after George. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube Music even, or whatever your podcast app of choice is. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.
I'm Melissa McKay, star of the new podcast, The Royals of Malibu. I play Ella, a sex worker just trying to survive when I get swept away to the wealth and the drama of Malibu.
You know, you can like something without touching it.
You've made the biggest mistake of your life, Ella Sinclair.
You are a total psycho!
Will Ella find a happily ever after ending? Or will these rich kids destroy her? Fall in love with The Royals of Malibu on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts.